Hey everyone, it is the Angry Honey Badger here, and it is time for patch notes. And of course, that means it's patch 420, and with me is of course bonus content. How you doing?
Good, how are you doing?
Not too bad. We're gonna go ahead and talk about this patch. This is probably the biggest patch that will happen all year, probably because it is the preseason patch to the next season. Yes, that is correct. So lots of changes are in this patch, preparing us with all the new changes to the jungle and all types of stuff. I'm going to be honest, I haven't looked at this yet, so this will be fun. So yeah, what's happening? Okay, last season, let's just do a brief rundown of what happened. So last season, they made their huge changes to supports. So they changed a lot of supporting items. They changed a lot of base stats on your traditional supports. Just kind of adjusting to make them more impactful in the game. And that was really their main focus last season, was tweaking items and big changes to the support. This season, the big changes are coming in the form of objectives and the jungle. These, I think, are slightly bigger changes than what they did last season. So there will be many new things to learn. And that's really what they're going for. Each season, they just kind of rebuff or revamp something a little bit to just kind of add new gameplay and keep the game actually kind of fresh, but yet still familiar. Personally, if you would ask me up front how I feel about changes, I hate change. I don't know if it's because I'm getting old and stubborn, but typically I don't like change. But so far, a handful of things I know that are going to happen are okay. And let's face it, last season's changes were all good. I think they were all really positive. I know a lot of people hated the trinket system at first, but it makes sense now. It's just a getting used to it thing. So we're going to go ahead and talk about all the changes in this patch that get us ready for next season, since this is the preseason patch. So I think we did good things. We're going to skip some of this early stuff and get straight into a few things. Obviously, recommended items and general content. Recommended items, obviously, some changes. Recommendation items now detect if you have Smite or not, because that will detect whether or not you'll be jungling or not jungling, which is just a nice change. Stats gained per level. There are some changes here, and I know that they are changing the way they talk about how stats progress. You know what I'm talking about, Kyle?
No.
You don't?
I haven't seen. They didn't like spell it out like this for the PvE, but I've been playing on it, and I can't tell the difference.
Oh, okay. Well, then I think they're wording it differently, but it's all the same underneath to a certain degree. We'll talk about that more in depth as we get to it. This is what they're talking about. This is like that level 1 immediately gains 0% of your growth statistic. All of your base stats will be calculated off of that. So when you have an increase of 0.25, instead of saying you get 5 health per 5 seconds, you're getting 0.25% of health 5 seconds. It's going off that base stat. I know it's confusing at first. They're just changing the way that system works. I think I explained it kind of, but that's how that works. So you can read into this more. When we go over the patch notes, what we're really trying to do is cover the big changes. Obviously, this kind of is a big change, but what they're really doing is just kind of rewording it.
Well,
Obviously,
at the very bottom, you could, like, instead of just going over it like in complete detail, you can see it just says at level 18, you'll have a little bit more than what you used to have.
Yeah. So it changes things, but once again, these are things that are kind of working behind the scenes of your character. So good and helpful, yes, but so ridiculous that you need to know how all these numbers perfectly work in sync right now, not as important. Obviously, later on, if you're trying to figure out, like, will that last tick of Ignite kill them based off of their maximum percentage of health regen growth, blah, 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 blah. Obviously, that's slightly more important, but that's not really relevant at this moment. So,
but if you're doing that in the blink of an eye, you should probably be going to, like, Harvard or something.
Yeah. You should probably be like Void Boy and take a break and go to school or something. I don't know. Anyways, so mana regeneration changes to champions. The following mages / tank supports are being changed to 6 base mana regeneration instead of MP5. And then 0.8 mana regeneration instead of MP5. Once again, it's the same difference where it's not per 5 seconds. It's the generation stat, blah, blah, blah kind of deal. And same thing here. Instead of 9, 0.45 letter MP5. MP5 is not a gun. It's mana per 5. Anyways, starting things off with champion changes. First off, we have Kalista. She is the Spirit of Vengeance. She will be released in this patch, so we can start to play her. Things. She's a champion. We'll talk about her maybe in a separate video.
She's an AD carry.
She's an AD carry, yeah. Well, yeah. But she can throw her teammates.
Yeah.
Kind of ridiculous.
Can't stop her auto attack.
No. So we'll talk about her more in depth later on. There's nothing really to cover here. I know a lot of people always ask us to cover the new champions in the patch notes, but they're not saying anything about her here, technically. Maybe I'll make that a separate video if you want that. Let me know in the comments below for first impressions. First off, Maokai is getting a updated model for his textures and for all of his skins, new ability icons, base splash, and whatnot. It looks really cool, actually, and I have one of his skins, and it looks amazing now, and I'm excited about it. So, good change to Maokai. Moving straight into Azir, because we're going to try to keep the pace going, because this is going to be freaking long. Azir, some changes are finally coming to him. Conquering Sands, his base magical damage on that is being increased at every level. His Arise, though, is W. The ability power ratio on that is actually being decreased by 0.1, and then his Shifting Sands, the base shield amount on that is going to be increased. I think these are actually the correct changes in the correct places, personally. He's a little underwhelming. I loved when people were first picking him, and I was like, yeah, free win!
Yeah, and you were like, I should ban him so my team can't draft him.
That's real. This is good. His Q needed to have a little bit more on it. His W, honestly, was actually not terrible. The damage on it, that would actually tickle. So this little change to bring it back down a tiny bit is, I think, helpful. And Shifting Sands, obviously, just a little bit of a buff there. I think the thing that this really does is this also points out that you need to be slightly better with Azir. Instead of getting all that extra damage from your W, you're going to actually need to use your Q correctly to get damage dealt. So, not huge ones. Obviously, these are base damages, and then that's an ability power point ratio on the W. But good changes overall, and should hopefully help him out, especially now since most of his bugs should be finally fixed. I think
kind of.
Yeah, I mean, he's still. I would still not recommend playing Azir. I still don't think he fits things quite right. So
we'll just these buffs are focused early game, obviously, and his early game was just poop.
Yeah. The other thing, the only time I'd really pick him is if the enemy team has the most hardcore engaged dive team ever, because you can peel them all off. So next we do have changes to Amumu.
Amumu buffs.
Anyways, General. His armor is being decreased by 5 points, and then his Despair, instead of the percentage damage on it being 1.5 scaling to 2.7, it's going to start at 1 and scale to 3. So this actually helps him transition into extreme late game really well. Plus, you're not really maxing his tiers out till late game, depending on how you like to max him. But this actually slows him down a little bit early with that percentage damage, which is fine. Not a huge issue. I think the armor is a bigger effect actually to him, because Amumu builds damage typically and still is pretty tanky. So, and he's really strong right now. Second highest win rate for a very long time in the game. So good changes to Amumu really.
I love champions like Amumu because the reason that he has a very high win rate is because only people that know how to play him,
which is awesome. So. Because so many other junglers... Well, everybody used to play him back in the day because he was the only good jungler for a long time, actually, because of his ultimate. But then they decreased the radius on his ultimate by a little bit, and that kind of turned a lot of people off because then you had to be really good with your positioning to get everybody stuck in it. And then a lot of new junglers introduced kind of just saw him fall off a tiny bit. But he's still been really good the whole time. I'm sorry, he does percentage damage constantly later on. So that's really good. And slight changes to him, honestly, should just bring him back to where he should be. So next, we do have changes to the Evelynn as well. Her base armor is actually going to be increased, and the armage growth stat on that is going to be decreased.
I like how they just plain out and simple, buffing Evelynn's base armor to survive the jungle.
Yeah. And then as she scales, not as much.
Because obviously that first, even in the old jungle, Evelynn's first clear was really rough.
It still is, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you want to go gank, but yeah, it hurts like hell to get through your jungle.
Just to hit 3, just to hit 3, you basically had what, a third health.
Yeah, it was tough. So this is a good change for her early on. I know a lot of people still think she's incredibly overpowered, which to a certain degree it is if enemies don't keep wards or vision or play smart, but that's just a positioning thing and a positional error thing. So actually decent change. I'm happy about that. I'm going to probably try to play her a little bit more again. Now, some changes are happening to Fiora in this patch, and
I love these changes.
Are some good changes from what I heard. Now, her Blade Waltz ultimate, its base damage is being reduced and decently drastically. It's going down from 160, 330, 500 to 125, 255, 385, which is quite a lot being decreased on that. The ratio on it, instead of being 1.2 bonus attack damage, is going to 0.9. Same target damage from 25% to 40%. What they're really trying to do with Fiora is
make her a duelist.
Make her a duelist. Her team fight impact was way too big. Because what would happen is, because she already is a duelist, if you're honestly a decent Fiora player, you would win lane every single time. Because she has that much attack. She has over 100 attack damage at level 1. You put a point in your W. And you get into an auto attack fight with somebody, you're gonna win it. Take Ignite, you automatically win lane. I love Fiora for this. I talk about it in the build and how it works, and like you can just win out. So what happens is you snowball your lane because you can do it by yourself, and then you would get huge, push down 2 turrets, show up to the first team fight 3 levels ahead of everybody, ult them, and kill everyone and get an easy pentakill. So they're going to decrease the amount where she can come into these team fights and really just murder everyone, and kind of leave her back to that top lane split push duelist position that like Jax likes to do late game and other champions like that. So it's a smart change, really, and it makes sense. Like, Fiora's been strong for a long time, and they actually want to change her whole kit and make it even more like a duelist, but I think this is their start to just say, hey guys, you can't show up to a team fight and get a pentakill just using your ultimate.
Yeah, that's
very
well said.
Did I get it right?
Yeah, it's just, as we'll see later in the patch notes, there's going to be a whole bunch of changes just focused on like objective taking and like strategy, and like they put so much effort into like the idea of like strategically split pushing instead of just this monotonous like, oh, send 4 people bottom, send 1 person top, and then bring teleport. And like you can actually, like, if there's 5 people on bottom now, it's going to be a lot easier to take large chunks of the map instead of kind of what was going on, I guess.
There's like that weird floaty section in the middle of the game too, where it's like, do we group? Do we push? Do we split? Do we TP in? Like, yeah. So some of those are being addressed. Next, we have changes coming into Gnar. First off, on general stats, his base health regeneration is being decreased from 5 to 2.125. We're going to talk about this in a second. Passive, Gnar Jean is movement speed on that is being increased. Just a tiny, tiny bit from his levels. Nothing crazy there. Wow, there's a lot of words in here. As it says, this gets complicated. Gnar had some shifted around, but break the system, managed reverting Mega Gnar bonuses into base health stats. We've done 2 things to affect Mega Gnar. His early attack damage and his health are lower in the early game, but higher at later levels. The math behind the change, especially for mid-level low grass, very complicated, but the raw details are as follows. Okay.
All you need to know is they're nerfing Boomerang, which is amazing.
Yeah, realistically, here's what's going on. All right, I talked about this in the league update. I just wanted to read that for a second. So Boomerang throw is being nerfed. The width of it is also being decreased slightly, so he just doesn't constantly murder everybody with it, catch it, murder everybody with it, catch it, because the decrease on it once you max it out is seriously like 2 seconds. You can constantly throw it and slow him. And
a manaless champion should not have a move like that.
Yeah. So then what they're also doing is, because of his boulder toss, which is also affected by this because that's what he gets in Mega Gnar, this is also being decreased, at least base stat wise. The actual total attack damage is being slightly buffed on it, which is, whatever, it's a trade, it doesn't really matter to me. I'm not really worried about boulder toss, it's Boomerang throw, that's the bigger problem. And then finally for his hyper, they're actually going to increase the base damage on it just a little bit. For both monsters and just base damage wall. And the wallop on that, the cooldown, is being just decreased by slightly. Now, the Boomerang throw is probably the biggest nerf here because, like we just stated, he could do it way too often. He could constantly kite with it. And if he caught it, which he did, constant cooldown, almost like instantly refreshing it to a certain degree. Now, I know some people thought I said that Gnar is bad, as in not a good champion because he's weak. That's not what I meant. I meant he's bad because in team fights, if he's not Mega Gnar, he typically does not help the team out. What happens is you see Gnar fall out of Mega Gnar form and the enemy team engages because then they just kill everybody. Because little Gnar, as much as he's a great duelist, he's not great in a team fight. It's that part where he flips over and he gets all that extra bonus health that makes him a menace and all his increased stats, and he's just a beefy, tanky dude who still does plenty of damage in team fights. So, right now, he's a really strong top laner, and he's great up there because he duels really well. But if you're going to go fight with your team, make sure you're Mega Gnar, because little Gnar doesn't help in team fights. So that's what I meant by he's not good. And that's mostly because a lot of people could not strategize that with their team unless they were with a team of 5 to get that done.
Until you can control your transformation, like, he's going to be, as you said, quote-unquote bad. But,
yeah,
I like these changes a lot. I think you might see him in the jungle a little bit more.
That's what I'm actually thinking they'll do, especially with that damage increased versus monsters. That helps out Hyper a lot. So,
Wallop also got a cooldown.
Yeah, that helps be able to use it. Yeah, I felt the cooldown on that actually was long.
Well, late levels it gets better, but early levels it gets longer.
It's actually worse, yeah, slightly.
That's... I don't know.
It's okay. It's an okay trade. It's to get to the late game and be effective.
Yeah.
I think what they want to do with the game too, as you get to these late game team fights, they don't want them to be extended for minutes on end. They want people to be in and be able to use their abilities and end team fights. So, next changes to the Heimerdonger. General health regeneration 0 per 5 seconds to 11 per 5 seconds, and health regeneration growth stat 0.6 is now going to be 1.75 per 5. But his passive on repair bots no longer affected by his own passive, so he can actually scale with health regeneration items. Oh, interesting. So he's got health regen now.
But he still has his his passive still affects his turrets.
Yeah.
It just doesn't affect.
It doesn't affect him now.
Yeah. The donger.
Ooh, here comes the heater. Have fun.
Ooh, yes.
Yes. Bring the heat on. It's cold.
Oh my God. Katarina nerfs? Why?
Katarina nerfs because Faker played Katarina a month ago and everybody got angry. Death Lotus, cooldown on it being super increased early on, and then it's the same later on, and then the magic damage on it is actually be a little bit less early on. Not a huge amount, but a little bit. This is to slow down her snowballing effect, but once again, that huge cooldown issue with early ranks, not a huge deal, because even if you kill the target, you're automatically getting like, what, 20 seconds off of it or something, so 15 seconds, so not a huge deal. Whatever. If you still don't know how to play against Katarina, I'm sorry.
Well, you probably never will understand.
You probably never will understand.
Because it's fairly simple.
It is. Next is Kha'Zix. Just a small change here on his void spec, his evolved spike. Cooldown on that actually being increased to 10 seconds. I'm going to be honest, I'm totally okay with this. It is up a lot. He always has some cooldown reduction as well, and it was up very often with a lot of slow potential.
This poor champion.
But he was really strong recently again. Like,
no, he was really strong like back when you saw him in mid. Now he's like just like constantly getting picked on.
They just constantly going back and forth on it, so I don't know. I'm okay with it. I still think he's a good pick. Obviously, this doesn't really affect his damage. It's a cooldown issue, so he still has plenty of damage. Next, we do have changes to Lee Sin. His base armor is being reduced by 2 seconds, and his base health regeneration is also being decreased just a little bit. Lee Sin's been picked on. Yeah, I know you're not happy. Lee Sin's been picked on a few times recently. They actually wanted to do a lot more changes with him, but what happened is all the Lee Sin players, like Kyle, got angry, and then Riot was like, all right, we'll do them slowly. Calm down.
No.
Yeah, no, Lee Sin's super strong. It's his kit. He can shield, he can jump around in different ways, he can slow, he can kick, he's got a lot of utility. Like, Lee Sin's got a good kit, and that became a problem for the community to deal with, and they've changed things around by like not granting the shield if he did certain things, which is pretty smart. Made it separates mediocre Lee Sins from better Lee Sins and other things. So I'm okay with the changes.
I thought the exact opposite. Where they made it so you couldn't shield minions, they like good Lee Sins would use that shield to deny CS.
But this game's never been about CS denial. That's Dota.
Well, I'm just saying, like, good players will learn how to do that.
I agree to but some kids were jumping around and not knowing that months after the nerfs happened and still weren't figuring it out. Like, because like somebody was jumping to a ward and be like, I didn't get my shield. I'm like, that's not how it works, bro. Plus, you had an ally next to you. Why did you jump to the ward? Like, come on. So, yeah.
Because you can.
Because you can. How about you just kill him faster if you're good, and then you don't have to worry about shielding anybody? Sounds good to me.
They already nerfed his damage. What am I supposed to do?
No, you're fine.
I don't have any armor.
I don't actually think these. I don't even think these changes are that big, to be honest.
I know they're not.
So, yeah. Next, Rammus. All right, so we do have some changes to Rammus.
God.
He's getting nerfed finally. His Powerball cooldown reduction on that is actually going to scale now down instead of just being a flat 10 at every level. because reasons, and then his puncturing taunt on that, the armor shred on it is being decreased. Rammus has the highest win rate in the game right now, has had the highest win rate in the game for a few months now. I think everybody plays too much AD, to be honest, and I think that's one reason why he has a high win rate. Everybody's like, yeah, I play Zed mid, and the enemy team's like, oh, let's play Rammus and stack armor, okay. So. Okay.
Well, I just think that when you can effectively use armor against a full AD team, like Rammus builds armor, like what? Probably the best in the game because he has built-in Thorn Mail.
Right next to Malphite, but yeah.
And I don't know. I see the point, but like if you see Rammus picked on the other team, pick some AP. It's a fairly easy thing to do, I guess.
Yeah, that's a really good way to counter Rammus. If somebody like first picks Rammus, like let's run a full AP comp because he's not building any helpful items at all. So yeah, build the hybrid, do like a hybrid carry, like a Corki or an Ezreal against that nonsense, like because you get the true damage from the Corki, just stuff like that. So not enormous, to be honest, besides Powerball, but even this isn't the biggest deal to me. I mean, it should be longer. I don't feel bad. Next changes are coming to Scion. His general health regeneration stat is actually being decreased just a tiny bit by 0.2. And then as passive Glory in Death, health decay now is going to be, instead of 2 times level, is 1 plus 1 times level. And his health decay growth, 1.4 times level, is going to 0.7 plus 0.7 times level. So it's meaning you're going to live longer, right?
Shortens the time early and lowers it, and extends it late. Correct.
Math is hard.
Glory in Death, health drains.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Here's slower at higher levels and faster at lower levels.
So here's my problem with Scion currently. I've been playing him a little bit more because I wanted to make an updated build for him. You know what the problem with Scion is? Everything feels delayed. Like, I know your Q's on a delay. Even your kick slow thing feels like it's on a delay. Your ultimate feels lazily on a delay because of the weird steering and stuff. Like, he just doesn't feel good. So on the fly, I don't think he can react to helpful situations. You have to be on the offensive for absolutely every move. And if your team's not with you, it doesn't work. So he doesn't react well because his abilities aren't reactive. They're proactive because he has to wait on them. So yeah, we're going to be careful about that, and I'll talk about that in the build more once we actually finally get around to doing it.
Thank God.
Changes to Sona. Sona's Hymn of Valor, the ability power ratio on it being decreased by 0.05.
Badger, you're telling me that I'm not going to get 2-shot by AP Sona support level 1?
There's no guarantees. 0.05, son. 0.05.
Please, Rito.
Yeah, it's a problem. And then her Aura of Perseverance, missing health ratio, instead of 1% healing increased per 1%, it's 0.5% increased per 1% missing health.
So some pretty solid Sona nerfs.
Base health
across the board
is higher, though, and the mana cost is slightly higher. So what this is doing is... I don't even call these solid nerfs, to be honest.
It's 5. You're getting 5 base health for 0.5 missing health.
Yes, the heal, I agree, is more of a nerf, though, than the hymn.
Yeah.
0.05. I mean, if you've been running AP Sona, it's going to be less successful now in the poke lane. But that's just you being weird and running AP Sona because you think that it wins you lane every time.
I don't know. It 2-shots me most of the time.
It hurts. I agree. It does tickle, but that's why I think it needs to be tweaked, which it's being tweaked. Plus, here's my other argument,
Rengar, though. Where you have to hit something with an ability in order for it to grant a stack. Passive. So that way you can't come into lane with like full stacks and just Q auto someone for half their health.
Maybe you can only stack it when you're around enemy champions.
That would work.
Just around them. They have to be within 6,000.
Well, I mean, like the heal, obviously, if you're around like good, like friendly champions, then it should still stack.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that.
And same with the speed up, because your speed up sends out a little thing too.
Realistically, though, if you like what Sona does as a champion, what you should have been doing is been playing Nami. So.
Whatever.
Because reasons. I do like Sona
Blast
still.
Crescendo in the face.
She'll still be fine. Or Nami, just ult and it goes way longer. So.
But Nami's is not as good.
I agree, but it's still helpful. Gets people to scatter is what it gets to do. Anyways, Raka. General base attack damage being decreased by 6. Astral Infusion being increased by 10 or by 100. Actually, I like that, actually.
Because you had to be like
on their
top
face.
of the person?
Yeah, I did not like that. And then her Equinox, the cooldown is being increased at longer, which makes sense because
an AoE silence snare should not be
everybody was maxing it out because it was free damage and it was up, not all the time, but it was up a lot. So yeah, those are fine. That makes sense. Warwick changes. Kyle rejoices. Strategic diversity. Basically, his ultimate is getting a longer cooldown at level 6. That's really the only thing happening here. Just an increase on the cooldown early on. Honestly, not a huge deal, but it's there because it's there. Next is mass.
We could skip this.
Texture balance.
Just read it.
Yeah, so mass texture rebalance part 3. They've been doing rebalances to textures for a long time now. But more of them obviously are coming in. This is all to fit the new map and how it looks, which we're going to talk about briefly in 1 second. Because
it's out?
I need to, well, besides the part where it's out, I need to set the community straight as both someone with a brain and a graphic design background. So Amumu, Caitlyn, Ezreal, Fizz, Gragas, Jax, Kog'Maw, Mordekaiser, Riven, Talon, Udyr, Urgot, Vlad, Zillion. Those are all the new ones being added.
When does the Kaiser get a new splash art?
They've updated his multiple times, so.
Yeah, but it looks so, it's already outdated again.
They'll get to it. There's other ones that need updated too. Anyways, going to the map quick. I know there's been threads on Reddit. I know there's been comments from the community, and everybody's like, it's not as colorful, and it looks like it's been grayed out. What Riot has done with the new map is they've decided, smartly, to be able to see what the champions are doing on the map. It's called readability. So what happens is when somebody uses special abilities, it is differentiated from the map itself. If you go look at the current map, or the old map, not current anymore, but the old map versus the new map, is, yeah, the old map looks like it's neon green. A lot of people have been on Reddit, like, just HDRing the shit out of the new map, being like, right, you just do this, turn the saturation up. No, guys, it looks terrible. You don't do this. It hurts my head. I went to school for graphic design and many other things. It's ugly as crap, and I'm so glad that Riot actually hasn't listened to the community on this because they would be ruining the map and hurting my head. It's for readability. It makes sense, and it actually helps everyone out, especially newer players or less skilled players, because they can actually see what's happening more clearly. So that's why the map isn't super colorful. I think I had enough supers in there. So I nailed it. That was on my mind. I've been talking about it and bitching about it at work, so.
Oh, and read it.
Got it. Anyways, early game kill and assist bonuses.
Actually, I don't like this change. Like, I like the first change, but not the second change.
So 75% of base reward for 2 minutes, scaling up to 100% at 4 minutes. This is what I talked about in Misfortune build that came out yesterday. Is it's okay to actually die early. It's not as big of a problem as after 4 minutes when they get the 100% of the first blood bonus.
And that's gone.
And it's gone. So now it's 100% at all times. So don't die early again. Now it's a problem. Assist bonus is 25% of a kill reward until 90 seconds, and increasing by roughly 0.2% per second for 210 seconds to 50% of kill reward at 5 minutes. So earlier on, the kill assist bonus is less, and then it increases to about where it was at 5 minutes in the game.
So when is bottom lane won and lost? In the first 5 minutes most of the time.
Yeah.
So this just like, I don't feel like this is very helpful to supports at all. Because like good supports, like you're gonna get a kill most of the time in the first 5 minutes of the game. Like not most of the time, just a lot of the time. And so this is like just, you're hurting the champions that get the least amount of gold.
Yeah, a little bit.
I understand for like
first level 1 ganks.
Like
yeah, but like level 1 ganks though, it makes them even less important. Which I don't actually know how level 1 ganks are gonna go now because of the new jungle changes. We'll talk about that in a second though. But yes, I do see what you're saying. It is an interesting trade-off. Fountain Regeneration. Fountain Healing Rate, 0.8% of maximum health, and mana per 1 second is now 2.1% of maximum health and point. So you heal a lot slower.
Well, no, isn't it the same? It's more fluid.
Oh, is that what they're saying?
Yeah, it's now you don't just get it's not
not chunk,
tick,
chunk,
tick,
chunk,
tick,
chunk. It's
tick, it's tick.
Okay.
So
okay
I actually like that change.
No, that's good. I like that because you're waiting for your last chunk, you know, or you're waiting for your last quarter chunk.
Yeah.
All right, death timers. Death timers now start scaling with time at 35 minutes, not 25 minutes. Death timers now scale up at 2% every 30 seconds to cap at 150% at 47:30 instead of 2% at 50. Okay, yeah, I'm fine with that, actually.
Basically, you'll be alive more prior 30 minutes. Or 35 minutes.
Yeah. I'm okay with that. But it reaches its cap slightly earlier. Slightly. Yeah. I'm okay with that. Objectives and minions and global buffs. General. Changes to the 2015 season. We'll have lots of things. Good.
We'll have lots of things. Next section.
Inhibitor Nexus turrets. Health regeneration. 5 per 5 now on the Inhibitor and Nexus turrets. So it's a little bit less now. They won't heal up as fast. The attack speed on them has been massively increased.
Well, it's kind of like the fountain thing that we talked about. It's not shot. It's now just like it's a laser. It's like zzz. It's really, I like it a lot.
Oh, do you?
You can't like just sit under turret, and it's a lot harder to exchange the damage, like to like back out and let someone else start tanking and then come back in, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Because it's like the whole time you're walking out, you're getting hit like 3 or 4 more times. It's not, you can't like get out as easy. I don't know. It's I like it a lot better, and this is just on the Inhibitor turrets. The Inhibitor and the Nexus turrets.
Yeah.
So the outer turrets still shoot the bullets.
It ignores 82.5% of the target's armor, reduces target damage dealt by 15%, slows target movement speed by 10%. With every hit, the beam gains 6 heat until 120 heat is reached. When the beam switches targets, heat is reset. Gains damage per point of heat up to a maximum of 125% extra. Basically, really beefy people turret diving for extremely long periods of time
is no longer a thing.
It's not a thing anymore, which honestly needed to happen. Turrets so pansy in this game for a while.
Especially in like you're talking Inhibitor and Nexus turrets, like still that's in your base.
Yeah.
So like you should have that extra line of defense
Man,
in your base.
you know
it's
this
too
is gonna,
easy
you
to
know what
die.
this is gonna do for a while? The throws will be real for a while.
Where people just like 5-man underneath, like 5v5 fight under turrets, and then like turrets will just like rip people apart.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
It'll be interesting. God. Whew. So changes there. Inner turrets. Additional allied turrets. Range. Shield over time. They get the shields now, right?
No, people get shields.
People, that's right.
As you walk by two turrets,
you'll
actually get a shield up to a maximum of 200 health. And so, like, those outer turrets that were really hard to hold on to, those secondary turrets, like, it's a lot easier because it's not only on one person, it's on everybody who's around. So, like, when you're engaging 5v5 on one of those secondary turrets, like, you're fighting people who have 1,000 more health than they did before this patch.
That's crazy. That's also going to be really weird to get used to. Inhibitor respawn time. 5 minutes instead of 4 minutes. But that's because of the laser buff guided systems.
Is that what it says?
Yeah.
I think it's a good change in general, just because like you got the Inhibitor down, and like at least for me, even like low diamond, like it took people so long to like group. Like if we got bottom Inhibitor,
no, you'd run out of time before it respawns.
Yeah, grouping and going all the way up the other lane to start pushing that lane and like letting the super minions push. Yeah. It took like 3 minutes, so you had like a solid like 1.5 minutes to do it.
Get in, finish off a couple enemies, or get in Hib, finish off a couple enemies, go steal a buff, recall, buy items, regroup in mid, push down lane, Inhibitor respawns shortly. And you're like, oh crap, we didn't even do anything.
Yeah.
So an extra minute will be helpful for more objective control. Turret and minion defense adjustments. Turrets don't get that over time. Magic resist has been standardized, and the reduction rate, same thing with the defense for the backdoor defensive bonuses. Standardized turret health has been adjusted. Outer turrets 2,000, inner turrets 2,000, inhibitor turrets 2,500, and nexus turrets 2,500. So they're a little bit more beefy on the inners. They get a little bit more health. Minions' defensive stats have been adjusted. Minions no longer gain armor or magic resist over time. Cannon minions no longer have base armor. All minions' health gain over time have been increased to roughly be as durable as when they had their resistances.
So not much.
So not much of a change, really. Just they don't have armor and whatnot. Cannon minions! Cannon minions now start spawning every 2 waves at 20 minutes instead of every 3, 4.
Yeah, 3
4, whatever it was. Cannon minions now start spawning every wave at 35 minutes. So at 35, cannon minions all the time.
That's awesome.
That is kind of cool, actually. Baron spawn timers. Spawns at 20 minutes now instead of 15. Let's face it, though. New Baron, if you try to fight him at 15, you're all going to die.
You'd have to have someone really, really, really fed.
Yeah, like Baron,
like a Yi or like someone like that to be really, really, really fed.
And still somebody pretty beefy to be able to take some abuse, because everybody's going to get hurt now. And
Yeah.
Baron hurts. Baron is also getting changes on his rewards. What he's granting, his buff has changed. So, combat buffs grants up to 40 attack damage and ability power, scaling with a game time. Hand of Baron grants an aura that empowers nearby minions. Now what it will do is for all minions, now match 90% of average movement speed of nearby champions up to a limit of 500 movement speed, are resistant to slow effects. Non-super minions have 75% damage reduction versus area of effect damage over time and persistent effects. Melee minions, on the other hand, gain 50% movement speed within those enemy minions or turrets. Size is increased, 75 attack range, 75% damage reduction versus champions and minions, 30% damage reduction versus turrets. Ranged minions, 20 attack damage increased, 50% missile speed increased, 100 attack range added to them. Cannon minions, 600 attack range, 50 attack damage, but attack speed is halved. Attacks are now aura effect 200 range and deal 2 times damage to turrets. Super minions, 25% attack speed gained, increased 50% movement speed when 800 units of an enemy minion or turret. So what Baron buff now does, at least for the minions, is it super buffs the minions on your team, especially if you're around them.
So basically, you just start sieging right away after Baron.
Yeah, it's to be used. It's to be used to siege them down, because I think it was being used. What was their complaint? Too defensively?
Well, people would get it and then just like
Hang out?
Yeah, well, like not hang out, just like wait for like fights. Essentially, they were using it more of like as like a statistical gain instead of like a strategical gain.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yes.
I always tried to use it as both because you still had the health regen before,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm gonna guess they didn't take off. They didn't say about anything about taking off the health regen, and so like you'll be able to siege still, but now you have a lot of help with all the minions.
It has empowered recall. Hand of Baron augments your recall with new effects. So the Baron buff actually now gives you a faster recall at 4 seconds. A successful recall heals 50% of your champion's maximum health and mana, and a successful recall grants 50% movement speed for 8 seconds. It gives you like a mini home guard. Well, I think they have removed those other stats, to be honest. I think now what you get is you get this for instant recalling and instantly getting back out of your base, which kind of helps you on the defensive holding on side of things if you do happen to sneak a Baron and you're behind.
So if you have Baron, you recall twice as fast.
Yeah.
Because it was 8 seconds before.
What if you have the 1 second off your masteries too? 3 seconds?
Yeah.
Or maybe it just makes it a flat 4. I don't know, but
No, it would have to be 3.
yeah.
Because it's a full second, isn't it? I think it's a full second.
Recall 1, 2, back at base.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's not bad. We'll see how it all pans out. Obviously, they didn't list all the stats, but basically now get Baron. Go back, recall instantly, which will take 2 seconds. Buy, heal, next minion wave. You're going. You're going. I think it's a good way to put it. Dragon rewards. Yay! Differences for Dragon. So, now Dragon. He does way different damage. He does way different damage. He does way different damage.
I don't know if I like what they did. They basically took away the global. Like, you don't get gold
Yeah.
from him anymore, except for the person that kills him gets the 25 still. But like these, I like the stacking buff that they have listed, but like I don't like the final stack. Like you only get it for 180 seconds. I guess that's 3 minutes.
You do get a 3-minute buff from Dragon now, and if you're part of killing it, you get gold, right? Or is it just... No, there's no gold now?
There's no gold. Only the person that kills it gets 25 gold. It's like a minion.
I don't like that. Anyway, so yeah, okay, so now Dragon doesn't give you gold. You get the buff.
But now, like, this completely changes it. I don't know how 8% of your total attack damage and ability power, that could get kind of ridiculous.
That's why he wants people to fight over the objective, because you want this buff.
But
because if you get the second stack of it, you know, the second time you kill it, right? You get the second stack. 50% damage to minions and monsters. So then if the enemy team is behind 2 dragons and they're already at that stat, they really want to contest for it so they don't get 5% increased movement speed. So they want to get their first stack. Correct? This is...
Correct.
Yeah, so they really want it to actually be an objective you go for because you want absolute stacks. Five stacks of... So dragon control is going to be insane now. Because if somebody can get the 5 stacks, triples all other bonuses on your attack, burns enemies for 150 true damage over 5 seconds. Lasts 180 seconds for them.
I totally just read triple, or I didn't read triples all of the bonuses. I just saw the attacks burn for 150 true damage over 5 seconds. That's definitely worth it.
Yeah, it's huge.
If you can get to that 5 stacks, it's definitely worth losing a couple top turrets. But like if you don't get there,
yeah, it's interesting. That's a weird trade-off now.
I'll be interested to see.
Objectives are going to be weird this season. So.
Oh, but the experience has been drastically reduced as well.
Yes, experience being reduced on it quite a bit. I don't know, man. If people can get a couple turrets and let the enemy team take it, and they get 2 turrets out of the deal, and the enemy team...
I'm talking like, when's the first time you take a dragon? Pretty much when the first teleport happens, or like when the first teleport's supposed to happen, bot lane, or let's say middle, or like river fight or jungle fight or whatever it is, and then you take a dragon. Like most of the time, whoever's in the top lane can only take 1 turret.
Tops.
And so that would be definitely worth it, but like I don't know, like
it's interesting.
You can't give up too many easy dragons, or else you're gonna get smashed.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Next, Crest.
Crest of Cinders.
Crest of Cinders. While blue buff is pretty broad in the power it gives, sustained, wave clear, siege, power, etc., red buff has always been focused on in-combat strengths. We wanted to shift a bit of its extended blah blah blah. Alright, now heals its buff targets for 1% of their maximum health every 5 seconds. The duration of it is 2 minutes now. Burn passive on it is actually a little bit lower early, but actually goes higher later. And then the slow amount on it is being reduced.
So not so much a slow anymore, but more damage late. So this is good for 80 carries, but bad for janglers.
Well, so far the whole next season's bad for junglers.
I don't know. Yeah.
In general, it kind of is.
I don't like the fact that they're lowering it to 2 minutes.
Yeah, they're lowering the buff. Same with Crest of Insight. That's the blue buff. 2 minutes now for its duration instead of 2.5. It's whatever. It's a change. I think they want people to go down the utility tree to really pick up the buff increased duration if they really want it. All right, so.
Oh my gosh, this patch is so long. Sorry.
I told you this patch is super long.
I was like scrolling through. I was like, where does it
If you need to pause the video to go get a drink, go do it. It's not.
No. We're good. We're good. Let's keep
no,
going.
not you. I'm saying them. You can't pause. We're doing this live, homie. All right, so jungle changes. So we talked about objectives being a big change. Now jungle is being the next large change that is happening in this patch. Really what happened is they felt that only like a top 4 or 5 junglers were really effective last season. To a certain degree, that was really true. And we saw the same ones get banned consistently or played consistently, and there was really not a lot of variation from it because they were considered the best, and that's how it worked.
Early season, you think that's how it was?
Yeah.
Early season, you saw Elise,
Lee Sin, Eve,
Kha'Zix, Wukong, Kha'Zix. Like, you had, like, probably 10 junglers.
Okay, Pantheon was only, then that was all I will dominate. And he was the only one who played it.
Was legit.
But he was the only one who played it. I'm referring to LCS.
He was good in solo queue. Like, you could legitimately play him in solo queue.
Well, I agree, but that's because people are bad in solo queue.
Even at all ranks.
Well, that's true. People are bad. I'm saying at LCS because that's where things get judged at, because that's where it either worked or didn't work on a wholesome professional level. That's where they think. That's where they look at things, at least. Yeah. So changes are happening there. Rift. Southern rewards introduced. Blah 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 blah. What are we doing? What am I looking at?
You were doing the crab.
Oh fucking crap.
Sorry guys, you have crabs.
Yep, everybody has crabs now. So what happens here is there's a crab in the river. Kyle, you want to talk us through this, Captain PB?
There's a little crab.
I'm gonna drink some
His
Surge.
name is Scruffles, and he walks around the river by Dragon and Baron. And if you kill him, he goes like right in front of the Baron pit and right in front of the Dragon pit. And then he like plops up like this little like half ward. And if your team walks over it, you get a movement speed, and it stays there for 75 seconds.
Yes.
So
and it grants vision.
Yeah.
More importantly. Grants
vision. So, like, getting that right before Dragon fight can be really, really, really big deal, because you can't like just sweep it away.
No, it's not sweepable. It is permanent for that duration. So. It's uncontestable. So, if you can, do they see it if it's there?
I would guess they would have to.
I don't know how it works because I haven't.
I guess
I'm lazy.
I haven't paid attention to that.
Yeah, I haven't either.
But like
it's objective. What it is it's extra objective control objective.
It's a pre-objective. Like, it's very important to get that before dragon fights happen, or like even before like Baron dances happen.
Yes.
Because it's a free ward that lasts 75 seconds and gives you a speed boost.
It gives you the Steve boost.
Anyway.
Get wrecked, Kyle.
Yeah, but
don't worry, we lost like 70% of his viewers already this late in the video, so you're fine. Nobody saw it.
The other 25%, they're just like, what's this?
This fucking kid. Yeah. So there's crab. Kill the crab. Get vision. If you don't kill the crab, you don't get the vision. He respawns every 3 minutes. There's crabs in your game. So next time you get into the league and your mom's like, "What are you doing?" Just yell, "I got crabs." Let me know how it goes.
Don't yell that.
Do it. Smite rewards are now changing. This is once again part of the big jungle change.
It's not. It's for on minions.
Yes.
It's not just like smite in general.
Yeah, not smite in general. On minions. Okay. So smiting the Krug grants the gift of heavy hands, stuns minion and monsters every first and fifth hit. In this lasts 90 seconds. Your first attack also deals damage against turrets.
Krug is the old mini golems.
Yeah, Krug's the old mini golems. The names, I'm going to be so confused on the names because they changed everything. Anyways, next, the Raptors. Smiting the Raptor grants...
The Raptor? Oh, the Raptors are the old Wraiths.
Wraiths, yeah. They're old Wraiths. Gives you a warning, a magical sight for 10 seconds when an enemy ward spots you. This lasts 90 seconds with one charge. So if you walk next to an enemy ward, you are alerted that you have just been seen, really, right?
Correct. And this is actually a really good thing, I think, because
it's really cool.
There's a lot of wards put around that general area, and you can make it to Baron and make it to Dragon off of that. So it's basically a free sweep.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. Then next, the Merc Wolves, which is the wolves. Crazy.
Got it.
Two-headed wolves now. Smiting the Merc Wolf creates a Rift Spirit, which summons a Rift Spirit that watches over a portion of the jungle for 90 seconds. The timer goes down when the spirit chases enemies. So what happens is this little wolf, right? Isn't it another little wolf? He runs out over to an area, and he gives you vision of that area within the jungle for 90 seconds. Now, if somebody comes into play with this wolf, he will chase them, and he will disappear. But once again, you know your vision's been cleared or that you've spotted an enemy. So it's more objective control for you within your jungle. Really good for a counter and jungle bullshit.
For like against like a Shaka or something.
Yeah, or anybody, because that's been a big thing. So.
Yeah.
So that's a big one. I kind of like him. He sounds interesting. And then Gromp, right?
Which is White Camp.
White Camp now.
The large wraith.
Old large wraith. Bye bye. Smiting him now, attackers are poisoned for 6 plus 6 per level magic damage over 3 seconds. This also lasts for 90 seconds.
It's a thorn mail.
It's a thorn mail. The red restores 20% of maximum health, and blue restores 25% of maximum mana when you smite them now. Do you have to get the smiting blow or just use smite on it?
No, just using it. Okay,
that's what I thought. Making sure. So yeah, so now it's similar to what they did with Nunu when they reworked and tooled Nunu. Whenever he would eat certain camps, it would give him certain buffs. Now it's when you use your smite as any of these champions, you're getting a certain buff on this camp. So now instead of saying I can clear this one faster and move on to the Raptors, maybe you're like, maybe I want to use it on Raptor camp and not on Kurg camp. Or maybe I want the vision from Merkwolf, and because there's a Shaco on the enemy team, instead of using it on Gromp. So which one benefits you more early? Do you need the extra damage against enemies for that 3 seconds over time? But if you're not and you just want more vision, you'll go for Merkwolf. This is going to come down to a lot of personal preference in early game, which one makes more sense to use your smite on. Because obviously you use your smite every other camp, really. But right now, you know, you can't smite all these because that'd be crazy. So.
And now it basically just diversifies the jungle.
Yes.
You won't have like those certain paths per character. Instead, you'll have like, because I don't know about you, but I took one buff, I took wolves, and then took my other buff, and I ganked. Like every game, every game.
Yeah.
And so this will allow you to do more with it, I guess.
Yeah, they want the junglers to have more depth. So, monster stats and reward changes. Small jungle camps now respawn every 100 seconds instead of every 50. So obviously we can't smite camp. It's just going to be smiting a lot of them. Base health, attack damage, gold, and experience of small jungle camps have been increased by 20% though to accommodate for this change in duration of spawn time. Greatly increase the attack damage scaling of small jungle camps throughout the game so they don't actually just feel like absolutely nothing later on. Increase the health scaling of the small jungle camps at level 12, or up to level 12. Raptors have further retuned. Once again, experience being increased, damage being increased, movement speed being increased on them. Small Raptors, same difference, increases all around. Blue, more health, more damage. Red, more health, more damage. So all of them being buffed. But this is to make up for all these increases with gold, experience, fun, other fun stuff, and things. Nailed it. So, rewards blue, red. Experience actually being decreased on the blue and red.
They just took out. They just took out golden experience from the big one and put it in the small ones.
Yeah.
So it should be the same.
Will cause people to, if they invade and steal, they want to clear it all.
Yeah, exactly.
So, although that's still a decrease in experience overall. By quite a bit. I don't know what that's going to do. We'll talk about that later.
Wow.
Jungle experience pacing. Champions gain 10% less experience for each level they are above the camp they are killing. This penalty caps at 50%. Makes sense.
So basically they don't want you to outscale the game in the jungle.
You can't hyper outscale, but the game actually is scaling based off of everybody else's levels and minions and everything in game. So even if you think like, oh, I can't outscale them, maybe I'll get outscaled, you shouldn't get outscaled because that's not how it works.
Because then they'll hit the penalty.
Embarrassing deaths in the jungle. Red and blue buffs no longer fall off when a champion is executed by a jungle.
If you die in the jungle, it happens to everybody.
Does it?
No. But if it does, then you'll still have your red and blue when you respawn.
It is hilarious, actually. This is super noob friendly. If you've ever said, I'm terrible at jungling, there's no excuse now. You can go try again. Oh, that's funny. Anyways, jungle items. Alright, so big changes to jungle items.
This is where it gets dicey.
This is when things get real, and I'll try to explain. Alright, so the Hunter's Machete costs more gold. It's removing the 10 damage versus monsters, plus 5 reduction versus monsters. Instead, passively deal 30 damage on hit to monsters over 2 seconds, and gain 7 health and 3 mana while in combat with a monster. And then the Hunter's Machete now can be purchased if you have Smite as a summoner spell. So
it can only be
so you don't have to accidentally buy one if you're an idiot. But what happens if you accidentally forget Smite?
Then you're boned.
Get fucked.
Like, it's actually I really like it because the items allow you to do some really cool things, as we're gonna see, and it just makes a whole lot of sense having it like this.
Yes, we'll move down to those items. So first off is the Poacher's Knife. Hunter's Machete plus 350 gold. Passive, when you smite or kill a large camp in the jungle, in the enemy jungle, the cooldown of smite is halved. You gain 20 bonus gold, and you gain 175% increased movement speed, decaying over 2 seconds. Meaning, you go steal a camp and you run away quickly. And you get your smite halved in its time duration. Passive, jungler, deal 45 magic damage on hit to monster over 2 seconds and gain 10 health and 5 mana per second while in combat with monsters. So that is what knife does.
We don't have to keep re-saying that. That's just the passive from.
It's not the, yeah, that's just the jungler. Yeah.
So as you can probably tell, Poacher's Knife is going to be your counter jungling item.
Which at this point,
if you're Shaco, if you're just someone who has really good dueling, that you're not going to be planning on ganking, but just making the other junglers' life hard, this is the item for you.
And if they're building this item, chances are you're going to be wanting to smite your Merkwolf, so you can keep vision of them running into your jungle to do this. Next is the Ranger's Trailblazer. This one, the cooldown of Smite is reduced by 15 seconds. Smite also deals half damage to all monsters and enemy minions near the target and stuns them for 1.5 seconds. Casting Smite on a monster restores 15% of missing health and mana. Then it also has the passive jungler.
This is for just heavy farmers.
Yeah, heavy farmers. Yeah. Skirmishers Sabre.
Sabre.
On this one, Smite can be cast on enemy champions, marking them for 6 seconds. While marked, you deal 18 to 69 bonus true damage to them on hit, and you also get vision of them and reduce their damage to you by 20%. This is for divers, I would say.
This is for like,
other
I'd say like almost like duelists, like Yi, Nocturne, basically anybody that used to use Feral Flare.
Yes.
This is a good item for.
Because they typically are slightly squishier, and you want to deal extra damage. So,
yeah, correct.
For the Sabre. Next, we have the Stalker's Blade. Smite can be cast on enemy champions, dealing 28 to 164 true damage and reducing their movement speed by 50% for 2 seconds. This is going to be me making a montage of me just smiting people to death.
This is basically your gank heavy jungler like Lee Sin or probably Lise. Or anybody that likes to gank a lot.
Oh, I think, by the way, the that one that you said for farm heavy junglers, I think that was actually tooled towards tanky junglers or people who don't have clear, since it does the stun and all that fun stuff and the AoE, right?
Well, it also it doesn't do decreased damage, so it's just for like, when I say farm heavy junglers, I mean like essentially like people who don't clear fast, I guess.
Yeah.
But
oh wait, I think that's coming up actually. So
yeah,
let's get to that. Sorry, jungle item in enhancements. Okay, so if you notice, these were Hunter's Machete plus 350 gold. This isn't its final point. That would make it a 750 gold item. Too cheap. So now, the Devourer, which is
this. Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
These enchantments can be bought on each one of the previous items we talked about. So
yes.
You can get each one of these enhancements on Poacher's Knife, Ranger's Trailblazer, Skirmisher's Sabre.
Yes.
And Stalker's Blade.
So these are the enhancements that can be added to them to increase their...
To each one.
Yes. So they're just using this one as the example. So the Devourer adds the dagger plus whatever your thing was. Total cost of it listed there. Attack speed is increased and magic damage on hit is what you get. Passively killing large monsters increases the magic damage of this item by 1. Champion kills, give it 2. Yeah, this is a reworked Feral Flare. This is your stacking one.
Yep.
Next is Juggernaut. Now Juggernaut is Kindle Gem, Ruby Crystal, and then previous upgrades. Total price is the same as listed. You get 500 health, 10% cooldown reduction, and tenacity.
It's the old Spirit of the Ancient Golem.
It is, basically. So that is your Juggernaut enhancement. Next you have your Magus. Fetish Codex, plus previously upgraded, same price. Ability power, 10% cooldown reduction. Spirit of the Ancient Golem. And then Warrior.
No, Spirit of the what? Spectral Wraith?
Yeah. Spectral Wraith. Spectral Wraith. Yes, good call. And then Warrior is the final one. Brutalizer plus previous upgrades plus 163 gold, whatever, because Brûlage is priced weird, at 1337. And 45 attack damage, 10% cooldown reduction, armor penetration. This is
it's not really like
yeah, it's not like Eldritch Lizard, but it's the damage one. This is for your Xinjiaos. This is for your damage dealers.
Yep, I actually really like that item. Like this, I like this idea.
The enhancement
better than the old one.
So you get your base thing that you want. So like if I want to smite people by building Stalker's Blade, but I actually want to be beefier, I can then buy my Juggernaut upgrade.
Well, like if you're like, like let's say someone who ganks early, but then you want to transition into a tank, like you have that option.
That's kind of cool. I do agree. So it's like a weird tier system, and it goes wherever you want. So you pick. So what you do is you pick up your normal item, and then you're like, well, which of these things do I want to help me with? And then you pick that one, and then you're like, well, wait a second. Maybe I want more damage. I saw my team's really too tanky. I'll go ahead and I'll build it towards Warrior. Or if you're like, wait. Maybe I don't want to go down the path I thought I was going down. We'll go ahead and we'll build it into Juggernaut, and I'll start to get some armor or some health. On me, and the tenacity is also helpful if I want to pick up some like Ninja Tabbies. Ninja Tabbies. So that's how that works. Next, elixirs.
New elixirs.
Iron, Ruin, Sorcery, and Wrath, right? Those are the new ones. So 400 gold each is what they cost. Iron, increased size, slow resistance, and tenacity for the next 3 seconds. Moving leaves a path behind the boosted ally champions for 15%. So at least
this will work really good for Leona, like your tank, like an Alistair would be good with.
Yeah.
Like this would be good with, like not just supports either, like Malphite. This would be really good for like with Amumu.
Beefs, the beefcakes.
Yeah, the beefcakes who are going to be the initiation as well.
Ruin will give you 250 health, 15 bonus true damage to turrets, and the Siege Commander buff for 3 minutes. Nearby minions gain 15% bonus damage to turrets. So this is great for backdooring and pushing.
Yep, split pushers galore.
And the health stuff's really nice too.
Yeah.
Sorcery one will give you ability power and mana regeneration, and then damaging a champion or turrets deals 25 bonus true damage. This effect has a 5-second cooldown versus champions, but no cooldown versus turrets.
Actually, I kind of like that as well, because you could get like almost like a AP split pusher, which hasn't been a thing ever in League of Legends.
No, but they do. But a handful of them are good assassins, and they can duel well. So this is actually good to set them up to do that. And then Wrath is Bloodlust, 25 attack damage for 3 minutes, dealing physical damage to champions, heals for 10% of the damage dealt. Scoring a kill or assist extends the duration of the flask by 30 seconds.
So it's not capped?
Technically not capped.
Because, like, let's say this is an AD carry thing. It's primarily focused on an AD carry, but, like, you could literally get a kill or an assist on every person on the enemy team if you aced them, and then you have it for 5.5 minutes.
In theory. It won't work quite that easily, but yes.
Oh, yeah, I understand. But, like getting the max out of it, you could, like... Do you no longer get the bus if you kill the same person twice, or is this just like?
I think it's
just
just
be a forever thing.
Well, if it's a forever thing, what will happen is you'll end the game.
Yeah, well, obviously.
But what this does is it promotes you to buy the item and use the item, and then fight, get involved, continue onward, instead of buying it and being like, I got a buff in case I need it. Now it's motivating you to be like, hey, check it out. This is what happens when this happens. Use it to your advantage. Snowball it. Win the game. So those are changes. Regeneration items. Okay.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
There's one new item in this section, and the rest of it's just changing it.
Yeah, so what I was going to say is, so the Regeneration bead, as you can see, is 5 health per 5 seconds, is now 50% of base health regeneration. This is them changing. Which equals
out to be about the same thing.
Which equals out to be about the same. So the way they're doing it now is everything just looks different. It's about the easiest way.
About the same.
Yeah. So, what's the bracer, your new item? Is that what you're going to talk about?
Yeah, Crystalline Bracer.
Crystalline Bracer. Ruby Crystal plus Rejuvenation Bead plus 20 gold. 600 gold total cost. 200 health is what it grants you, and 50% base health regeneration. There you go. Changes to other items. I mean, I hate to skip all this. I'm not going to. Combined costs are going to be changing. And just the way that things are listed. You're not going to see the blank per 5 anymore. You're going to see percentage of base. So
Yeah.
that's the real change here. So as we go through, those are what you'll see. Chalice of Harmony and Friends. Chalice of Harmony, once again, costs more. Now it's 1,000 gold. Combined cost, blah, blah, blah. Going up. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. I slid way too far. What just happened? Okay, we're back. Bumped a button. 50% base mana regeneration. 25 magic resist actually going up. And then the restored mana is going to be 1.5%. But once again, its gold cost was increased, so slight buffs happening. Same thing happening to Athene's Unholy Grail. We got the change in the price, but you're getting the increased restored mana per missing 5. Mikhail's, slight changes there. Once again, I really want to only cover new items. So Righteous Glory is new.
It builds out of the crystal, the Kalista Protector.
Yeah. And so what happens here is Kalista Protector plus that crystalline
It's
bracer.
a new Shurelia's, essentially.
Yeah, it really is. It gives you 500 health, 100% base health regeneration. A Vow Reward upon leveling up restores 150 health and 200 mana over 5 seconds. Grants 60% movement speed to nearby allies when moving towards enemies and enemy charge for 3 seconds. That's when you activate it. After 3 seconds, a shockwave is emitted, slowing nearby enemies' movement speeds by 80% for 1 second. So it's a chasing tool.
So basically, it's a combination of Shurelia's and
Talisman.
Randuin's Omen.
Oh. Well, yeah.
So I wish that you could like let's say you get to the middle of the team in like 2 seconds or something.
Mm-hmm.
I wish you could just like push the button again and activate
Activated.
the slow. But what's 1 second gonna be?
It's like the Thresh slow. It's like what,
Yeah,
1 second at 98% slow.
Yeah. Well, that threshold is still annoying.
Warmog's armor. Obviously, we have item changes for how they're built, so pay attention to how this works. It's actually cheaper now. You get less health though, but your maximum mana changes, or sorry, max health regeneration changes. I actually kind of like that. Health restore increases 3% of maximum health if damage has been taken within the 8 seconds. That's kind of cool.
Could you imagine how fast Garen's gonna get back?
Yeah, he's gonna get big.
Warmogs and Spirit Visage or something?
Yeah.
Just
Health.
hate that character.
Banner of Command changes happening there. Costs a little bit more. Nobody buys Banner of Command. Removed that aura. New legions. Resist health regens. Raptor Cloak.
Well, I do like they put Aegis of the Legion in there, so now you get 20
Yeah.
magic resist and health regeneration.
Yeah, so the Aegis of the Legion, sorry, I should have mentioned that, is built into Banner of Command now. It's also built into Locket still, right?
Yeah,
So it just actually has another build path, which is cool.
and all of the promotes have been increased as well. I don't know if we saw that.
Yes, they have.
So
Raptor Cloak, that's new. Cloth Armor, Rejuve Bead, 1,000 gold, 30 armor, 100% base health regeneration, and builds to 30% movement speed over 2 seconds passively when near turrets. Point Runner. Cool. Ohm Wrecker's getting some changes. The way it's built from the Raptor's Cloak, Kindle Gem, cold price going up, ability power being taken out, health being reduced, but health regeneration increased, cooldown reduction, and you get Point Runner as well. You also cannot stack multiple ones within 8 seconds when using Ohm Wrecker. Prevents nearby enemy targets for attacking for 3 seconds. That's actually better. It's been buffed. It was 2.5. Not that amazing. Armor build paths. So now Chain Vest armor is actually built from cloth armor and then gold.
that's a good change, finally.
Yep, changes to Thornmail mean that it is being decreased in price. And yep, Sunfire Cape, once again, decreased slightly in price. All these things being obviously started from cloth armor. So actually, Warden's Mail, cloth armor, plus gold.
So armor is going to be even more efficient to buy.
Yes.
Because like there's no stat change on Thornmail or
like,
Sunfire.
You're like, I don't have enough gold to buy the blah blah blah. And be like, well, I can just pick up the cloth armor. Yay. Omen, decrease in price. Magic resist build paths. No Magic Mantle is now costing 500 gold, but also gives a little bit more resist. Negatron Cloak has been removed. What was that? Anger?
So yeah, like, are we gonna have it? Like, are we just
You're gonna stack. What you're gonna do is you're gonna stack mantles.
like?
Yeah.
Last season it was what Spirit?
Bulwark.
No, yeah, Bulwark, and then the season before that it was For
You have to remember,
Force of Nature.
good magic resist items always get the dick.
They always get removed.
Yes. So like for example, Abyssal Scepter, Blasting Wand plus Null Magic Mantle plus Null Magic Mantle. So it's 3 items to build it now. It is cheaper. It actually gives more magic resist because you're building 2 mantles, and mantles magic resist has been increased. So you have to remember that the mantle has been increased a little bit. So 2 mantles.
5.
Yeah, 5. I said a little bit.
5.
Yeah, I know. So that's so like Spectral's Cow. This is an important one for a lot of people who build it. So Null Magic Mantle plus Ruby Crystal plus 300 gold. It's actually cheaper to buy, but you do lose a little magic resist. Now, one thing you can do to make up for this, since runes and masteries are not being changed, is run scaling magic resist glyphs. They're the best glyphs in the game for glyphs, in my opinion. Or magic or AP ones. Those ones are good too. But those ones are really good. So be running that. Obviously changes to everything that had a Negatron Cloak in it. So changes to Quicksilver Sash, changes to Mercurial Scimitar. So sorry.
What?
But the prices are being reduced for all of them.
We should talk about the next thing. This is ridiculous.
Stacking items. So we see that Magi, Soul Stealer, and Sword of the Occult are high stakes gambling items. By upgrading into them, you're throwing away any substantial amount of gold and thus advantage. Hopes of doubling down on your control of the game. Go big or go home. And that's what those items do. So what is now happening is for Magi Soul Stealer is going to cost even more gold. And then the Soul Stealer stacks now start at 5. Magi Soul Stealer now loses half the stacks when killed instead of 1/3 of the stacks. So they're going to give you a little bit because you invested a little bit of gold into it, but you're going to be heavily punished when losing stacks or getting killed.
Correct, yeah.
So the only thing I think this changes is if somebody buys a stacking item, just kill them and make them regret buying it. I don't.
5 stacks to start out.
It's because
that,
it costs
makes
1,400.
the item efficient at that point.
Not quite, but close.
Yeah, but well, you get my point. Like before, you didn't get any stacks, and so it was like super golden efficient. So you're basically throwing away 700 gold that early in the game, and now it's just like. It's close, so like if you have that much control over your lane, like it's going to be very easy.
You gotta be in it to win it.
Yeah, essentially. You gotta be a gambling man. And I do like the Sword of the Occult change that it no longer grants movement speed, instead grants attack speed.
That makes more sense on that item. Where's Leviathan?
Oh my god,
it was removed last season, bro.
No, I'm talking about the next.
Oh, removed items. Don't be like this. Sword of the Divine, Executioner's Calling, and Atma's Impaler. Sword of the Divine. Never really built it, but was fun to use occasionally. Executioner's Calling.
On Twitch? Oh my gosh, so fun.
Yeah. Executioner's Calling actually had some importance on certain things, but honestly not a huge issue. Atma's Impaler. Atma's Impaler. I'm glad they removed it. It's not a good item. It's hilarious to build if you're building straight health, but still not a good item.
Yep.
Hooray. Those are gone. It's fine. Shop shortcuts. They've added some new ones. That's nice. Summoner spell level requirements. They've actually changed it a little bit. But who cares? Unless you're low leveled. In that case, there they are. This is what it looks like. So it's slightly better. Really, that's all there is to say there. I like how Smite and Ignite are now not available till 10.
Level 10?
Level 10. Smite was a level 3. I think people would be jungling at level 3.
No, they shouldn't be jungling until they like learn how to do lane mechanics.
Yeah. Scoreboard changes.
Which doesn't happen until like gold.
Active item and buff UI updates.
This is all poop.
Yeah, lever buster system is better now. They're launching it to reduce the levers and AFKers and rank queue, patch improvements. We like those. End of game gifting and store improvements.
Who I don't even like. No offense, Andrew, but I don't even mystery gift my friends, let alone people that I just played against.
You can mystery gift against people you play against. Is that what?
That's what it says. You do not have to be friends to send a gift.
Awesome. People always want to send me things.
You can send gifts to players on both teams.
Interesting. Word skin has been added to options in the gifting center. Hooray! Bug fixes. Mac issues. Don't care. Fixed a bug with Trindamir's E. Nailed it. Upcoming skins. Constable Trundle, Captain Volibear, Safecracker Evelyn, Pickpocket Twitch, Battlecast Alpha Skarner, and Battlecast Kog'Maw.
Blood Moon Kalista.
Blood Moon Kalista. I like all.
I like them, but they're like not like all the splash rocks are really good, but they're in game. They're like not top notch. They're like 750 skins, like most of them are, except for Battlecast. The Battlecasts.
Yeah.
The other 4 are 750 skins, so they're just like.
Constable, Trundle, and Volibear one scare me a little bit. I don't think they're that amazing.
Yeah.
They still need to just do my pimp, Trundle. Where you at, Riot? I'm looking at you. And then Safecrackers and Pickpocket, they look okay, whatever. I'm excited actually about the Battlecast. I think the Skarner one's actually pretty cool. He's got like chainsaw arms.
They actually announced a whole bunch of skins today. Did you see that?
Yeah, they did announce some more. We won't talk about them yet. They can go watch them in League Update videos over on Curse's channel. And then
is that tomorrow?
No. And then the Kalista one is kind of nifty, actually.
Oh, okay.
So.
We made it.
We made it to the end of the patch. This was only an hour and 18 minutes of our time, or hour and 15 or whatever. Play that guitar on the stretch. Oh man, that was. Oh god, yeah. Well, that was the patch. Obviously, we even rushed through a few things. Summarizing. To summarize, a few champion changes, nothing crazy to be honest. They were all pretty valid. A few items being removed and tweaked. Obviously, pay attention to build paths now before you purchase items or think you have enough gold for items. It's always a big thing at the start of new seasons when gold changes. So double check how much stuff costs.
If you're jungling, make sure you take Smite.
Yeah. Also, if you're jungling, make sure you take Smite so you can buy some jungling items, or else you can't buy jungling items. Other than that, there's lots of big changes to the jungle. So I will probably be making some videos coming up to actually help with a lot of the changes, and we'll look over things. If you're still watching the video, props. Let me know what you think about actually doing like not first looks, or whichever again, or like first impressions or whatever on new champions. Leave them down in the comments below. And thanks, Kyle. And yeah, let me know what else you want to see. I know things like that are happening. Other than that, play. Don't worry about doing ranked right now. If you like ranked or whatever.
There's absolutely no point.
Yeah.
There's no decay, so.
Learn the changes for now. So it's a good time to learn the changes before next season. Ask questions, watch streams, and things like that.
Preferably curse streams.
Yes. Watch Piglet poop all over everyone. It took him 5 days to get level 30.
Well, level 30?
I'm just saying, that's still really fast regardless. He only averages like 7 quadra kills a night.
Look at you, quadra kill.
Ooh, right in the pants. Anyways, that's patch notes. Let us know what you think about the changes. Don't try to be overwhelmed. I know you will be. It just happens. I'm always overwhelmed at the beginning of the season because I'm like, I gotta relearn something. Ugh.
Gosh, you gotta relearn the whole game.
Ugh. But yeah, that's gonna be patch notes. Check out Kyle's content in the description. It'll take you over to his YouTube channel, and you'll see all the pretty videos that he may make if he's not playing World of Warcraft.
Wow, I play Hearthstone now, and here's the Storm now.
Okay.
We need to get in the beta so we can do a mobile Monday.
I told you I'm
on Here's the Storm.
I know. I can borrow an account, worst case. Okay. Other than that, that's patch notes. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you learned something. And we'll just see all of you guys.
And I just want to say,
oh god,
Badger and me, that we love you guys who stay till the end of the video.
That's true. If you made it all the way, that's actually ridiculous, and that's amazing. I love you. So nuts. Anyways, okay. We'll see all you guys later. Have a good night.
Later.